Okay, so this is attempt two. Sam's internet, I think, was having a little bit difficulty for it not resulting in being glitchy. So I am just going to wait for Sam to join us and hopefully no more hiccups are happening. It looks like Sam has joined. Hopefully I can accept them and we can go from there. All right, let's see here. So I keep accepting it, Sam. Hopefully we can get you in. Is today just going to be an internet day where we have issues? No, not today. Let me see here. So I've accepted you a few times, Sam, but it keeps doing, it's not seeming to let you in. Let me see if I ask you. No, it says you're invited to join already. So no, I know. It's not letting you in. Okay, let me accept it again. Okay. Enneagram is unable to join, it's saying, every time that we did that. All right. I'm inviting you now. See if it works that way. Accept, go live. Oh, I think it might be working now. I'm getting the box at the bottom. Hopefully we can get you in, Sam. It's thinking. It wants to let her in. There we go. Can you hear me and see me okay, Sam?
I can hear you.
Okay. So I think we are good. We're finally connected. Is it still Mercury retrograde? Is that done now?
To have a technology since we've had one.
It has been. We've been so lucky the last few months when we've met. Of course, we have to have one sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Well, we'll go in and we'll just
Can
introduce.
you?
You still are a little bit glitchy on my end. Is she glitchy for other people that are on here with us right now? I think we've got like 5 people that are present with us right now. Do you want to try talking now, Sam, and see if I can see and hear you okay?
Here, let me try one more. Okay, how about now?
Now I can hear you okay. How about for the audience that's listening? Can you hear her okay, or is she still a little glitchy?
I can see and hear you, so maybe we'll just get
Yeah,
started and hope for the
you're
best.
it's way better now. I can hear you quite a bit better now. Okay, let's get started. So, welcome every once in a while. We have some we have some glitches with internet gremlins, as I call them. But we'll go through and just introduce ourselves again. Most of you that are on here know us, but every once in a while we get some new people hopping on, and so we just go through and introduce ourselves again quickly. I will start, and then I'll have Sam introduce herself. My name is Lyndsey Fraser. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, as well as a certified sex therapist, and I accredited professional. I have a private practice in South Minneapolis where I specialize in relationships and sexuality utilizing the Enneagram. How about you go ahead and introduce yourself, Sam?
Okay, I'm Dr. Sam E Greenberg. I am a sexuality researcher and an Enneagram coach specializing in sexuality, intimacy, and relationships. Hopefully, most people know us by now, but just in case you're new here, and I conducted a large quantitative study on the intersection between Enneagram type and instinct and patterns of sexual desire. So we're a little tired today, both of us, but for good reasons. So we thought we would tell everybody who doesn't know a little bit about what we've been up to, and also what we're planning.
Yes, so we'll start a little bit. So the IA conference was just in Minneapolis, and so some of you that were there, it was wonderful to see people in person and be able to kind of hear new speakers. But Sam and I did two presentations in one day there, which is a lot for a 9 and a 5 to do. We had our Hunt, Gather, and Mate presentation, which was looking at the evolutionary lens of the instincts and sexuality. Is there anything you want to add about that one that we did, Sam?
Yeah, why don't we kind of just take people through like the broad strokes of each of the things we just did. So not only did we do two presentations in one day, but we did a all-day workshop as well the same weekend. So if you know us personally or you know any nines and fives, you would know that even doing one presentation would be really draining. And we did three. Um, so we'll just maybe tell people a little bit about each. So the first one we did, like Lyndsey said, the title of it was Hunt, Gather, Mate: How the Enneagram Instincts Reveal Three Evolutionary Meanings of Sex. And like Lyndsey said, that was on the instincts and sexuality with an evolutionary lens. So, how the kind of evolutionary lens on instincts can shed light on the three primary ways that people make meaning around sexuality. So that was a really super cool, and we did that at the International Enneagram Association conference there in Minneapolis. And then, Lyndsey, you want to tell them about the second one we did that same day, and in fact, the same evening?
Yeah, we also did the Enneagram After Dark portion of the International Enneagram Association. Our co-facilitator is also there, who is Misty Rainwater. She was also a co-facilitator on that. And we took the huge opportunity, which I don't think is often done, or I actually have not ever seen this done. We had a panel of all 9 types talking about their sexuality, where we had some specific questions that we had them ask, and to just get an idea of how each type and instinct responds to sexuality. We also talked a little bit about sort of who we are and what we have been doing, the things that we learned. But it was really interesting having that panel of 9 people, because some people answered just like we would expect based on research and what we saw in our office, and some people gave us completely new answers. That's why it's so beautiful to kind of have a panel of 9 people present as well, because sometimes you learn some new things. So we learned some new things as well. And our co-facilitator, Misty, who says we're both rock stars, is actually on here right now. She was our third counterpart. She was excellent. I loved how one of the things that Sam and I were mentioning about Misty is, like, we had an email list and it was there. We're like, we'll just put it over here. And Misty's like, okay, when you walk in, she's an 8, by the way, you go over and you put your names on that email list. And I'm like, yes. Misty got people to participate and to be present. And sometimes we need an 8 in the mix, don't we? Don't we, Sam?
Definitely. We're so happy to present with Misty. We love her energy. And so it was the three of us, and actually before we had facilitated the panel of 9 types, we had a conversation between the three of us about the research perspective and the perspectives on the Enneagram and sexuality, and why they're both so important to bring kind of a holistic view of that topic. So we had that kind of back and forth dialogue first, which was really fun, really cool. And then, like Lyndsey said, we facilitated, along with Misty, the 9 type panel, which none of us have ever seen done before, like Lyndsey said, because it's quite a large panel. And we were able to keep it really short and to the point by having folks answer, for example, one word you would use to describe, what sex means to you, or one sentence. So we were able to have all 9 types speak, and it was really great. And Lyndsey, do you want to tell a little bit about our all-day workshop?
Yeah, so one of the things I'm going to say right now is that I have felt super spacey since since about the time that Sam left Minnesota. So like part of me is like, woo, I'm like really in that nine, what I call my nine little comfort space that I go to. And so bear with me if I feel that way to you, of those of you that are listening. Because I felt like that, which Sam and I will talk a little bit about, kind of the tiredness that can come from nines and fives when you're doing things like this. But we had an all-day workshop in person on Monday in South Minneapolis on Enneagram and Sexuality for Transformed Relationships. It was such a beautiful experience to have this workshop. Actually, one of our workshop participants is on here. I see her. Thank you for commenting and joining us today. And really what we did is we had a combination of therapists and coaches, as well as people that were there for personal growth. And we really went a little bit more in depth on Enneagram type and instincts and how you can apply this to your own life. Honestly, like after doing this, we could probably do like a whole weekend on this topic. But we really tried to give some more substance for people that were able to come. And, Sam and I, when we did this, it was really interesting because like we were just hoping for maybe like 15 to 20 people to show up, and we had 40 participants. And it was so beautiful to have like a room full of 40 people and have that energy there. And also just to really be able to kind of, what I will say, finally have like the like kind of the manifestation, or like all this work that Sam and I have been doing, to see it finally cultivated and created into a all-day workshop and course that people could really learn more from us. And I know that both her and I were like, the day before, we're like, I'm so tired, I can't believe we decided to do this. But we were so excited, energetic, and like all of that kind of came back into us. It really, her and I have both been so sparked by so many new ideas kind of after doing this, and it makes us very excited to continue to bring much more to people as well. What would you add, Sam, about that experience on Monday?
Um, a bunch of things, but I guess I'll save our sort of personal experiences for after we just explain what we were doing. But we did have the two different tracks for that Enneagram for Transformed Relationships all day workshop. So it was about, I'd say like a third to half people of the people who were there for personal development and their own relational development in their own lives. And then the other, half to two-thirds was there in their capacity as therapists or coaches to learn how to kind of bring the Enneagram and sexuality to their clients. And for all of those people, we had the same kind of morning information on the relationship between Enneagram type and sexuality and Enneagram instinct and sexuality. But then in the afternoon portion, we had two tracks in terms of processing the information as applies to personal or professional work and growth. So it was an all levels and all capacities day, which I think was great. And we had so much fun doing it, and we hope to offer some more things in person too, but I'll talk about that when we come to our what's coming next portion. Um, I guess that brings me to kind of like our personal experiences of doing this. So, Lyndsey, something you said made me think of our sort of crisis that we had in between presentation one and two, and then right before we did the third thing, which was our all-day workshop. And in both cases, we were just like, we can't do it. We've done too much. We're in over our heads here. Like, how are we gonna find the energy? That fives and nines are often described as the two lowest energy or lowest energy capacity types on the Enneagram. So I think that there's some veracity to that. We were struggling, but in both cases we kind of went back to ourselves and kind of cleared out all of the things we'd taken on from other people and just got recentered, did a little bit of self-care. And then in both cases, when we did the next thing, we felt so energized and so excited while we were doing it. So I guess this is kind of a public service announcement to our other low energy folks that, it's worth it, even though over here feeling the after effects now. What would you add, Lindsay, about our kind of personal experiences of doing all this?
I think what's interesting is a lot of this that we're doing too actually is encouraging our own growth. We tend to be, or at least I tend to be, we can be slower movers, wanting more pace in between things, not moving into things that might be good for us to push us out of discomfort or for me to push out of discomfort. And I think that, one of the things that really forced us to do too is like be intentional of like, we were like meditating ahead of time. We were taking the space that we needed for ourselves to re-energize and knowing what we needed to do to have that presence so we could show up holistically and really give you all that energy that we want. I think it's really interesting for me sometimes because people see me in sort of that social realm, right? And they don't see they don't see that behind the scenes kind of thing where I'm like, I'm so tired or I'm feeling so spacey or can I do this, right? I think one of the beautiful things with us sharing that is like this is our this is our reality. Like we really have to be intentional of how we regain energy, how we have more capacity so we can show up energetically and be in that presence with you when you're with us. Even like with our Enneagram and Sexuality for Transformed Relationships, we intentionally left for the lunch hour and went for a walk outside and went and had lunch at my home where there were not other people so that we could get that space and sort of re-energize and come back in the afternoon. And I think it's sometimes we don't share those aspects of who we are. And like I was saying, Sam left on Tuesday from Minneapolis, and I have been so spacey and so tired. And I knew that it was going to take me a couple days to sort of energetically recover. But most people don't see me in that state because that's when I don't answer my phone. That's when I'm like, I asked my kids if they just come snuggle in bed with me yesterday, and just kind of having some of those kinds of things. But I think it's good to show like, here's holistically how we are, even though you maybe didn't see those lower energy, like, can we do this? Can we push through? But I do think it was really good growth for us to show up and have presence and bring this thing that has really been something really important that we want to bring to the world, the work that we're doing.
I have a lot of things sparking from what you're saying. So one of them is the practices that we were almost like forced to be doing because of how much we had taken on, which are those meditations, as getting out in nature, getting outside, physical movement, all the things we did to kind of push through. We really should be doing those all the time. Sure, those things are great for everyone, but there's a particular benefit to people, to our nines and fives, sometimes our introverts of other types, when they're surrounded by a lot of people. There's a real benefit to doing some of those things that sometimes we forget in our daily lives to do them. And by taking on a lot of professional things at once, it kind of reminded us that those are really needed for our well-being. So I think that is something that's super exciting that I'm coming out of Minneapolis with. Even during our Enneagram for Transformed Relationships all-day workshop, during a quick break that we were having, or during an activity, a breakout activity, I would say to Lyndsey, like, okay, I'm going to go stand outside for a minute. Or, she would go and get a snack. We're just really supporting each other to meet our needs in those moments. Um, Now that we have done all that and we're in the after effects, like Lyndsey said, you're super spacey, which is what we see happen to our nines, is that spaciness and that lack of presence, where if someone is currently maybe trying to kind of reach you, they're like, where are you? Like, you're talking back to me, but it's as if you're not there. That I'll just remind people, we can find our nines in that for years at a time, our unhealthy nines for years and decades at a time. They can be in that kind of spacey, like, I'm here but I'm not here. And just having known you for years now, Lyndsey, I think it's like remarkable how good of care you take of yourself that you almost never end up in that. And then for myself, as a five, I'm currently, if you ask my family, being isolated and tyrannical, which is what our fives do. We do isolation, and if we can't get the isolation, then we are tyrannical. And that's something that you don't hear talked about quite so much with fives. But after pushing myself to be really surrounded by people and surrounded by things, energies. Um, I just want to be alone, and I live with other people, so I can't be. So that's my temper is not the best. So we're kind of both in our less, our more average level type behaviors now as we're recovering. But again, I feel like it was super worth it, and we're just learning all the time about how to be better and better and show up more whole. And the last thing that I want to share is actually about our different instincts. So, one of the very interesting things we noticed, that Lyndsey and I noticed across all three of those events that we are sharing now with you, is that our social instinct dominant people who are in the audience and our self preservation instinct dominant people who are in the audience tended to seek out Lyndsey afterwards with questions or personal issues they want to talk through, whereas the sexual dominant folks in the audience tended to seek me out. Or at Enneagram After Dark, also our colleague Misty, who is also sexual dominant, and how interesting that is, and how great it is that people of all different instincts felt comfortable with different people who are presenting, kind of based on the energy that we give off. And we feel like that's really important too. It's not just that we're being holistic in having a researcher and clinicians. Or clinician, it's also that we're holistic and that we're offering kind of the social and self-pres instinct perspective on things and the sexual instinct perspective on things. I don't know if you have anything to add there, Lyndsey.
No, I think what you're saying is just huge, right? Because part of like well, I think part of why both of us started this work is that we really wanted everybody to feel seen and heard with who they are based on their sexuality, maybe for different nuanced reasons, but ultimately that kind of was maybe was more of a curiosity for you, and for me it really was helping people be seen. But it's both, right? Right. And I think that when you bring that together with a research and therapy team, it's like bringing in those different instincts. We really are creating that holistic environment where we create comfort for all of those that are in the audience, right? And it's that some people feel more comfortable coming to me and I can meet those needs. Some people feel more comfortable coming to Sam and she can meet those needs, but together we're meeting everybody's needs, or most people's needs. Not everybody's. I'm sure there's some people don't come to either one of us. So I'll say it that way. But just that beautiful, again, just the blend of like what really both of us are bringing, in the sense of like it's like a coming together versus like two individuals out here. So I think that's just really beautiful, and we hope to continue to reach many more people through that avenue as well.
We also had a great time being together in person in Minneapolis. We do a lot of virtual things together, and we will continue to, but we also are loving that energy of being together in person. So I guess that brings us to what's coming next after we rest, which is what's coming immediately, I hope. Um, I'll start. So we are, if you were not in the Minneapolis area, or you even were in the Minneapolis area and you missed out on our Enneagram and Sexuality for Transform Relationships, we have good news. We are going to be releasing an Enneagram and Sexuality for Transformed Relationships self-paced course based on a lot of the material we delivered in person with some additional material. And we expect to have that ready about at the end of August. Lyndsey, do you want to say more about that?
Um, No, I think just what you're saying is that we will have that available the end of August. I think also on the other note, like we do have other things coming virtually, probably end of fall, early winter. Like you said, Sam, we need a rest for a month or two before there's anything new. So it most likely will be probably, we have some things in the works. If there's things that you really are wanting or desiring, feel free to message either Sam or I, because we're always in the process of creating, those virtual workshops as well. But the self-paced course will be available. I mean, probably by the end of August. We've already, our what do you call him? Editor?
Our videographer.
Videographer? The videographer, he is quick moving one. He's doing awesome. We've already gotten clips, so it's really nice, and it's really been fun to see them. Like, I'm really impressed by the professionalism, and to see us in that way, it's really kind of fun too.
It really is. So we actually already have a link for pre-order for that I'll put in my bio, but it's also going to be on both of our websites. And we'll post about it. So if you're wanting to pre-order that, we have a pre-sale rate going for that, and we'll post about that, and we'll put the link in the bio. And we also just want to put out there, if folks want us to come in person to your area, especially if you're a therapist or you're working in a capacity where you could kind of get a whole group of people together, we're totally open to considering that. One of the things I don't think we actually have mentioned yet is that we had our all day training available for continuing education units for through the Minnesota Board of Marriage and Family Therapy. It was 5.5, right? Is that right,
Yeah.
Lyndsey? Um,
5.5 CEUs, and you also get, here you need ethical and cultural CEUs too, so you get one ethical and two cultural CEUs. Keeping in mind, if you're not in Minnesota, oftentimes what I see is that, like, if one board has approved CEUs for you, it's really easy then for you to self-submit to your own board, and we can get you that certificate as well.
So our self-paced course is also approved for those CEUs through Minnesota. So if you are a Minnesota-based person who didn't make it, you can get those CEUs also through our self-paced course. And then, like Lyndsey said, if you're outside of Minnesota, it should be relatively easy to submit that to your own professional board if you are a therapist. If you're interested in it for personal growth as well, that is great too. You probably don't need the CEUs. So keep an eye out for that. And if you want us to come in person to where your area, and you can kind of get a group of folks together for us to do an in-person training, we're definitely starting to consider where our maybe 2026 in-person travel plans will take us. I think that's probably it for now. Is there anything I forgot, Lyndsey?
I don't think so. I think that that's all. And then we will see you next month for Sexy First Friday, which, oh my goodness, is September. And then, we are always taking ideas for what you'd like to see in these episodes. So if there's something you've been dying to have Sam and I talk about, just message her or I, and we could potentially bring that in next month. Have a wonderful day if you're here in Minnesota. I hope you're surviving the Canadian fires, because I know they're making me have an itchy throat. And then we will see you soon.
Thanks
Bye.
for your patience with the tech issues. We'll see you next month. Bye, Lyndsey.
Bye.